Good Friday in Kharkiv, scarred by another large-scale Russian attack. Ukraine's president had warned of a surge in strikes around the Easter period. Local authorities said a cruise missile struck a garment factory and that 3 ballistic missiles hit elsewhere in the city, ripping through apartment buildings.
This missile exploded in the air. It had cluster munitions loaded. They spread very far, which is why we see this extensive level of damage, unfortunately.
Among the apartments hit, that of Ina Christich. My husband died, she says. He was over there. He's still lying there. This a day after talks in Paris between high-ranking US, Ukrainian and European officials said to have seen some progress and leading to commitment on the US-Ukraine resources deal, now set to be signed next week. All the more surprising then that the US Secretary of State should deliver this parting shot from the Paris tarmac this morning.
We're not going to continue with this endeavor for weeks and months on end. So we need to determine very quickly now, and I'm talking about in a matter of days, whether or not this is doable over the next few weeks. If it is, we're in. If it's not, then we have other priorities to focus on as well. The Ukraine war is a terrible thing, but it's not our war. We didn't start it. So if they're serious about peace, either side or both, we want to help. If it's not going to happen, then we're just going to move on.
But move on from what? The war and any last vestige of support for Ukraine, or from what has so far been a priority for Trump, repairing relations with Russia?
If for some reason one of the two parties makes it very difficult, we're just going to say you're foolish, you're fools, you're horrible people, and we're going to just take a pass. But hopefully we won't have to do that.
If you do decide to move on or take a pass, Mr. President, would you then continue to support Ukraine militarily?
Well, I'm not going to say that because I think we're going to get it done.
Yesterday, Rubio was alongside Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff for the Paris talks. Reports continuing to emerge that they represent separate camps within the administration, Witkoff more favorable to Putin's demands.
There are two different schools of thought within the current U.S. administration. People like Rubio are waiting for Trump to burn himself with Putin and to pursue what many thought Trump would do, peace through strength. So far, Trump and Witkoff were pursuing peace through appeasement.
Bloomberg reporting today that the ceasefire plan the Americans presented ruled out NATO membership for Ukraine and left Russia in control of the Ukrainian territory it occupies. No sign yet, though, that such terms are enough for Moscow.
We had an attempt on a limited ceasefire on energy infrastructure, which was not observed by the Ukrainian side. So in these circumstances, to speak about ceasefire is simply unrealistic at this stage.
Ukrainians then can expect more days like this one in the northern city of Sumy. A bakery that had been preparing Easter cakes struck. A driver who'd come to pick them up killed in the blast.
Well, the Ukrainian MP, Alexei Goncharenko, joins us now from Ukraine. What do you think this means, this threat to take a pass or walk away and move on?
Hello. I really don't know. And Ukraine wants peace. We are ready for ceasefire today, everywhere, in the air, on the sea, on the land. So the only party, the only side which is against peace is Russia. As you heard and you showed, Russian representative in the United Nations who said it's unrealistic to have a ceasefire. So that's the question. So when President Trump is speaking about these foolish people, who they are Russia. But if he will not put pressure on them, they will definitely not go to negotiations. They will not stop fighting. They will not stop the war. So he needs to put pressure on them. I understand how it's difficult for him, for Americans now, to communicate with Russia, to try to find a deal with them, because Russians, they don't want peace. But I think he knew with whom he deals. So it's time for President Trump to show not a carrot, but a stick.
Right, but it's not clear that he means Russia when he talks about foolish people, because he had another swipe at President Zelenskyy recently, sort of saying he wasn't sure if he was a good leader or not. So, I mean, from your point of view, there is no movement that Ukraine can make to make this situation progress. It's all in Russia's court.
For the moment, it doesn't matter is President Zelensky a good leader or not. We want peace, and Zelensky said we are ready for peace. So I'm not coming who is good leader. All Ukrainians, we want peace as soon as possible. We are ready for ceasefire right now. If it would happen today, we are ready. Tomorrow, we are ready. So, with all respect, I don't think that President Trump can speak about us because we are not obstacle on the way of peace. We agreed in March for this, but Russia is not.
Yeah.
So what can we do? I don't know. We're doing everything we can. We agree for peace. That's it.
So do you think Europe should press on, irrespective of the Americans now, with its defense and security plans with Ukraine?
I mean, if President Trump means that he will pass on Ukraine, that will mean that he is passing on Europe too, because this is a threat to the whole Europe, including United Kingdom. So abandoning Ukraine in such circumstances, it means abandoning the whole Europe. And I think it would be a great mistake both for United States, but it's also unacceptable for Europe because it will mean that Europe is one-on-one with Russia.
I mean, in simple terms, has anything really changed since Trump came in? I mean, this is a man who promised to end the war on day one. It's still raging. Has anything really changed?
Realistically speaking, if Trump tomorrow will impose secondary sanctions on Russian oil, if Trump tomorrow will sanction Russian shadow fleet, Russia will run to a negotiation table. They will not have any other option. They are completely dependent from one source of money, it's oil. And if it will be sanctioned, that's it. So that would be immediate result.
Alexei Goncharenko, thank you very much indeed.